right, good day. Welcome. It's Bettor's Last Stand, show number 89. Welcome back to the show. Been off for a couple of weeks. Had some nice rest and relaxation, but enough with the small talk. We're back at it, trying to find some winners here for you. Sam coming up later in the program. Got lots to talk about as we wind down the big pro sports other than baseball. All come to a climax in the last couple of weeks, or the other night actually, and for hockey, and we'll wrap that stuff up here momentarily and then start diving into the other things going on in the summer sports calendar, which there's plenty going on right now. We got soccer tournaments in full swing right now with the Copa America here in North America and the South America, almost to the United States, but North and South America, Central America as well. And then you have the Euro 2024 tournament, the best soccer tournament that's going right now. No question about it. It's like a mini World Cup. Look forward to that every year. We got matches going right now. Last day of group stage play. Lots on the line here. So bear with me if I have any outbursts during the show. It's because I'm watching a few of these matches as we speak right now. Anyway, let's get into it. We were off, of course, the last couple of weeks, but not without some plays. I did not submit as many plays over the time I was away as I intended to, but I actually took a little bit of a break from the every night grinds of baseball and things like that. So I didn't bet nearly as much as I normally would. Had some action on golf and some other weekend sports, but not as much daily grind stuff as I normally would. So hopefully you're refreshed and ready to go again as well as we dive back into it. There's tons of things to offer right now at your sports books, and we have a lot of that stuff up. Wheeling Island Hotel Casino Racetrack Sportsbook. Get over there, make your bets, same game parlays, all that cool stuff going on everywhere. That's a huge thing, and we'll talk about some of those as well as we drag on here through the doldrums of summer, which is not all that terrible as far as sports go. I know it seems like it's a little thin for most people, but for me, it still gets the job done with the soccer and the Aussie rules and Big Three basketball starting up now and CFL. And once these soccer tournaments conclude, we'll get into those a little bit more. All right, so here we go. Up to the date here, we were up about just under 5 units, plus 490 in the last sets of picks that we gave. That included we weren't very good in some of our racing the last few weeks. My goodness, we were bad. But we got some decent Euro tickets that cashed. We had England and Denmark, which already cashed a straight forecast in that group. England playing terrible, but still comes out the way we need it to. We need Portugal here to secure their group, which they should. I think, and I don't see any way they can't win this group. It would have to be something incredibly lopsided happen. So Portugal will win. That'll cash us another nice ticket. So we look forward to that one. Florida Panthers cashes a ticket from way back. If you were listening to the show, we had the Panthers here months ago as the team to go after in the NHL playoffs. So good winner there. And then also while I was gone, French Open. Sasha Zverev gets the job done. He wins his quarter. And then we have the exact final as well. So Sasha Zverev to win his quarter was plus 170. Good winner there. And then a really good winner was Zverev and Alcaraz, the exacta in the final. We had it right here. Bettor's Last Stand. 9-1, that one paid. So that keeps us above water. And that's what you need to do when you're hunting out these short-term futures. They can make up for a lot of... Oh, and Czechia gets stopped on the doorstep by Turkey, which is just weird. Czech Republic versus Turkey for the person who hasn't bought the brand new Atlas this year. So this is a pretty interesting match. Czechia has had a guy sent off early for a really rough red card. Double yellows, just not cool. Anyway, back to the action. Memorial Golf Tournament. We had 5 or 6 players make the cut. We had 2 in the top 10 there, including the second place finisher, Colin Morikawa. Scotty Scheffler continues to roll along in golf, and we'll get to that here momentarily when we talk about the Rocket Mortgage. But nonetheless, up about 5 units over the last few weeks with the light plays, just some racing and some things on the weekend, and then some of those futures that we had that bailed us out of our everyday doldrums and difficulties that it is to pick winners every night. You don't have to bet all these games, so you got to remember that. It's a really important part of this thing is you don't have to bet everything. We have to post everything as bookmakers, or at least most things. You don't have to bet them. Just remember that. You just don't. You don't have to do it. So just find your spots, pick your spots. Don't just do this for fun because it's not fun. It's only fun if you win, so remember that. NHL and NBA Finals in the books. Celtics get the job done. They ended up being a minus price for most of the playoffs to win it all, and were not really contested much in the Eastern Conference. No one really put up much of a fight. So Celtics roll along there, and we're just glad that NBA season is over. There's been some trades already. NBA draft is tonight as we record this. Nothing to talk about there. Just a really, really bad sport, and you can see the TV ratings falling immensely. NHL surpassed it. WNBA is surpassing it. It's actually warranted because, and I want to say it's good to see because I wish the NBA was what the NBA used to be, but it's not. It's a lot of unlikable guys, a lot of guys that don't play every night, a lot of games that are lopsided and awful, and Celtics much the best this year for sure. Congratulations to them. Congratulations to Coach Mazzulla, who we got to know when he was here in the Mountain East, as Czechia, I believe, just tied this game at 1-1, which is absolutely awesome. I'm really happy about that right now. All right. Anyway, congrats to Coach Mazzulla, who was at Fairmont and at Glenville in the Mountain East. So I met him a few times. Good guy. And appreciate everything he's done just for basketball. He's out there. He's pumping up the Mountain East a little bit, talking about some of those schools, about where he got to start in coaching and how he learned, and seems like a genuinely good fella. So congrats to him. And that closes the book on the NBA. I won't have to talk about that for a while now, thank goodness, except we'll worry about where Bronny James is going, which nobody in the world would care. This is probably offside. Oh, this is probably going to be offside. All right, Rocket Mortgage. Let's talk about that. Not a great field. Scotty Scheffler's taking some time off, and he handballed it anyway, so man, this goal is not going to count. Bad field. Scotty Scheffler taking some time off, so maybe another guy can win, so that's good. Man, I don't even like giving these plays away because I really don't have any strong convictions in this, but a few guys that I thought maybe could be top 10, top 20s. You want to sprinkle a little bit to win, go for it. But, man, the PGA Tour is just not great quality right now. U.S. Open was wonderful. Bryson DeChambeau gets the job done there. Rory McIlroy collapsed, which you heard it here. You heard it on the radio. You hear it everywhere that I'm at. He's not ever going to win a major again. If he couldn't win that one, he couldn't put that one away. He's never going to win. The guy's a choke artist. He's overrated. He's overinflated. I don't understand the fascination with the guy. He's just an okay player. He's like the Joe Burrow. Actually, he's won major, so I can't even put Joe Burrow in that classification. But he's just a bunch of hoopla and nothing really to show for it. So Davis Thompson, go with him 40-1. Aaron Wright 35-1. Maverick McNeely's getting a lot of steam, and I don't really understand why he's down to 28-1. He still hasn't won. Taylor Pendrith 40-1. Matt Wallace 55-1. He's been playing pretty decent. And then Seung Hyun Kim, so SH Kim at 99-1. As we got more bookings. I mean, this referee in this match is losing his mind. He just came over and booked 3 different Turkish team members. And I don't blame him. Or I don't blame the Turkey guys for being pissed. This was offsides with a handball. I cannot believe this goal stood, and it benefited me for once. I cannot believe this goal stood. Offsides with the handball, and they counted the goal. And I've seen Romelu Lukaku get 4 goals called back in this tournament for having like the seam of his shirt in the offside position. It just makes you wonder about things in general and just the status of sports and how things just could definitely be compromised. You don't want to think that, but that's why we're in the regulatory business here. Sports betting regulated here. So you can be sure that there's no funny business going on. So anyway, 1-1. I'll take it. Czechia and Turkey. But back to the golf, nothing that I really like there. Those players right there, just a handful of guys that I might take a shot with, but nothing too exciting. And I see that my camera is about to die right now, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back and roll right through segment 2. So I had a little bit more to get to in segment 1, but this camera is dying, and I need to go find the power pack for it. So anyway, we'll take a break here on Bettor's Last Stand. We'll be back with segment number 2. It's show number 89. Sam still yet to come as we head into July and get ready for football. Yippee. It is your favorite show about sports betting. Bettor's Last Stand. No, I don't mean that. Anyway, we'll be back in a moment.
Reminder, this show is for informational and entertainment purposes only. All wagering activities should only be conducted by those 21 years of age or older and within the confines of federal, state, and local law. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, contact 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537. All right, men, load the cannons and hold the line. You're listening to Bettor's Last Stand.
All right, welcome back in Bettor's Last Stand, show number 89, Pine Room Studios. Sorry for the abrupt end of segment 1, but I had to get the camera powered up, which now we are good to go off of battery power. They don't make batteries the way they used to, I guess, or we don't have the charger to where we need it to be, I guess, maybe is the more important thing. But nevertheless, we roll on here. Baseball, we're going to talk about those top ROI teams. I mean, if you think about these, you don't even really have to hear me read these when you kind of just start to figure out, well, that makes sense, that makes sense, that makes sense. Baltimore Orioles plus 1908, although if you bet them the last few days, yikes. And then they're getting outdueled by this team, Cleveland, who's probably surpassed them now as best ROI. So these are $100 bets. If you bet the Orioles every single night, you'd be up $1,908. If you bet the Cleveland Indians every night, you'd be up $1,832. If you bet the Yankees every night, you'd be up $1,269, although they're bleeding quickly as they lost to the Mets last night. And then the Washington Nationals, who you heard right here, was going to be a dark horse team, and they are playing very well, plus 1221 for the Nats. And then the Phillies, the best of the teams who were supposed to be good, at plus 523. So the Phillies, obviously going to be laying bigger prices than these. Orioles don't get a whole lot of respect in the market, probably because of their pitching, which is somewhat fair. Their lineup is exceptional. Their defense is very good. Their pitching in their bullpen needs a lot of work. But they're better than the Yankees. That I can tell you for sure. I told you that several weeks ago, and that still seems to be the case. MLB Dogs 9-4 on Tuesday. You're still seeing some of these runs where the Dogs are just coming through. Dogs and unders have been kind of the side to be on so far in the season as we head to the All-Star break pretty much here. We're very close to that, a couple weeks away. Unders on the season, 582, 549, and 47. So unders coming through at a decent rate as well. So dogs and unders, don't just keep playing those favorites, burning up your tickets with those parlays, with your 2 and 290 and stuff. If you really like a 290, don't put them on there with minus 290s from two other teams. Just bet the one you really like, because that's better off. At least you won't lose. The parlays can really, really stick you in baseball. So be aware of that. But we got plenty more to talk about when it comes to that. I'll give you some after the All-Star break, or kind of the All-Star break, kind of where I'm at as far as divisions, some teams that I think are worth prices to play on. But there's not a whole lot of good baseball teams right now. They actually would be very, very well served to retract about 5 teams in MLB and make the league a little bit better, because there's a lot of bad players, a lot of bad managers, and this playoff season is going to be interesting because there's not a whole lot of teams you can count on. The Astros are starting to come to life too, so just when you think they're dead and buried, they start to come to life. Euro Soccer 2024, been talking about it here a little bit as I'm watching these games right now. Czechia and Turkey battling right now in Group F, and then the other game in Group F is Ronaldo in Portugal taking on Georgia, and that's not the Georgia Bulldogs. That is oh my goodness gracious, Georgia leads 2-0 in that game. If you bet Georgia, I think they were like plus $9 or something like that, which, I mean, I thought Portugal, even with their backups, would be able to beat Georgia, but Georgia putting it on Portugal here. So, fortunately, we don't need to worry about that. Portugal will win the group here, and as of right now, Portugal will win the group. Turkey and Georgia both would advance. Georgia potentially advancing. That is absolutely huge, huge news. You never, ever, ever would have had them, and that's really going to stick me, because on one of the future tickets I gave out, we had Hungary, and they were currently in the last spot to advance in. But with the results like this, it's not looking good. So Hungary in trouble there. The left side of the bracket right now looks like this. Spain will play the winner, the third-place winner of either A, D, or E, or F. These will all be set here by the weekend. Germany will take on Denmark in the knockout stage. Portugal will then take on one of the third-place teams, one of these last ones to get in here, obviously not in their own group. And then you got France and Belgium set up to play each other in what should be a pretty good match. On the right side of the bracket, Romania against the third-place finisher from A, B, C, or D. And then you got Austria against F2. So F2 right now would probably be Turkey. So it could be Romania and Turkey, or I'm sorry, Austria and Turkey. England will then get the third place. They're either going to get the Netherlands, Slovakia, or I imagine they'll probably get Georgia. So that could be a pretty easy one there for old England, who's played awful and still one of the tournament favorites. And then Switzerland and Italy. So Italy could be a little bit of a thorn in the English side. If Italy able to get by Switzerland, that could be troublesome for England. Italy plays just the kind of style that England can't afford. Good at the back, very tight, compact, and they'll all you got to do is score once to win the match. So Euros getting ready to head into the round of 16. I'm excited about that. We gave out plenty of tournament future bets there a couple of weeks ago. So hopefully you're on those. All right, the odds to win a tournament are, oh no, they're back up now. Okay, sorry. So right now you got England still the favorite at 4-1. I tell you what, Spain's played great right now. Right now I take a shot with them. Germany, iffy. Wasn't ever really high on them. Portugal had been great until today, but they did rest a lot of their guys. The Netherlands, who I was very high on, disappointing performance yesterday, but they could still definitely get hot. 13-1 for them. Portugal at 7-1. Italy at 16. And then you got France at 550. Germany at 5-1. I wouldn't bet that. They're at home though. Spain at 450. England at 4-1. Nobody else to me has much of a shot. I'm not into Belgium anymore. Their time has passed. So anybody from Italy, Netherlands, Portugal, and Spain would probably be the teams that I would lean towards. But we'll see how these pairings get put together here in the last couple of minutes of these matches in Group F. The Copa America. United States had a win against Bolivia. This Copa America is hard to get interested in. There's a lot of bad teams that play in it. You got USA playing Panama, which would be last night. Game they should absolutely win, but who the hell knows? They're about a minus 260 favorite. I'd imagine that they would take care of business there, so we'll see how that translates. And when we get into the knockout phase, may have some picks there. But trying to get used to seeing these South American countries are hard to track. The officiating's very iffy down here. And it's I don't know, it's just a subpar tournament compared to the Euros. So I'll have Euro picks and anything I like in Copa America up on the Twitter page, BLS_PRP. So check those out. But we did have a pretty good soccer run. We got the plus 215 in with England and Denmark. We have the pending ticket with Portugal, which is going to be a winner at plus 175. So that's good. We're going to be ahead at the tournament. Then we get the quarterfinals set today. And we'll go with, once we see how the bracket finalizes, we'll throw out some picks in that regard. CFL, week number 4. Haven't been around to talk about this much, but it's been pretty intriguing so far. We'll start with the game on Friday night. It's Toronto hosting Montreal. The Alouettes at the Argonauts. It'll be the Montreal Alouettes minus the 3 points. The total 50.5. If you're starving for football, folks, watch this stuff. It's pretty good. I mean, CFL, it's a pretty solid product. They got some decent quarterback play. The coaching's pretty good. The rules are a little different, but they doesn't mean they're worse. They actually be better. There's less flags. There's less TV timeouts. It's a much cleaner product than the NFL. Not necessarily the star-studded players, but a quality league nonetheless. So I urge you, if you're dying for football and you're just desperate and you hate baseball and you don't like soccer and you don't like Aussie Rules Football and you don't like the Olympics that are coming up in a few weeks, take a look at CFL. It's good. There's a lot of people out there that handicap it. You can find good information. So if you're going to try to hunt down statistics and numbers and things like that, they're all available for you. So get on out there and check them out. I'm interested in Toronto plus the 3 here at home. They're 2-0 in the season. Montreal is 3-0, so 2 good teams, but I will take the home team, the Argonauts, plus the 3 points at home on Friday evening. Saturday, Winnipeg at Calgary. Winnipeg 0-3 on the season. Zach Collaros and the boys struggling. He doesn't even have a touchdown pass yet, but this guy's been prolific in the CFL just from right up the river here. It will be Winnipeg minus 4.5 on the road, total 47. I'm going to go over the 47 on the total, and I'm going to go with the Blue Bombers. I think they redeem themselves and win by at least a touchdown at Calgary. Calgary comes in 1-1, Winnipeg 0-3, as I mentioned. Sunday's game, it's Hamilton at Ottawa. The Tiger Cats facing off against the Red Blacks. The Red Blacks are at home. They'll be minus 3.5 point favorites. The total 51.5. I'll take the Red Blacks. I think this is a good bet. I think they'll win this game pretty handily by probably double digits. So you may even want to look for an alternate line if you can find it out there. It is Ottawa minus 3.5 will be on right there. So let's recap these. It'll be Ottawa minus 3.5 on Sunday, Winnipeg and over on Saturday, and Toronto plus the 3 at home on Friday. Saskatchewan, the Rough Riders, they are 3-0 in the season. They have the bye week this week, and the cards continue to pile up here. I made a bet over 8.5 cards in this game, and I think there's been 8 in that since I've been on the show here. So hopefully that's one I can check and cash here after the show. All right, let's get into AFL as we head down to the stretch here. It's starting to get into the time of the year where you start to see the teams fading energy-wise. The injuries are piling up right now. Some of the teams that started off really, really hot are plummeting. And some of the teams who started off not so great, and another yellow card. God, I should have bet this over an adjusted total. And the teams who started out poorly are starting to maybe find some things that are working for them where they got guys back from the injured list. But we'll begin with Friday. All the games on Fridays. This one actually will probably be a few hours before this show's aired. But Brisbane Lions will be on them minus the 30.5 against the Melbourne Demons. Brisbane has been red hot since I've been out of town. I think they've won at least 3 in a row in like 4 of 5 or 5 of 6 or something like that. So Lions turning their season around. They were one of the teams that started off awful. They're at home here, which is a really tough place to play. And they're 7-6-1 in the season. I think they get to 8-6-1 and cover that 30. Western and North Melbourne. This is an interesting matchup. 11:45 on Friday evening. Got Western coming in 7-7. North Melbourne gave the Melbourne Demons a hell of a battle last week and just couldn't get there. They lost by, I want to say it was 2 points. But close ending there. North Melbourne comes in 1-13. Just can't get any momentum going. I'll be going over in this game, over the 182. In this one, North Melbourne starting to kick it together on offense a little bit, although they killed me last week because they couldn't get the total over. But I like them here against Western. Western not quite as good of a defense. So we'll take a shot over the 182.5 in that one on Friday night. Also Friday night, 11:45 first bounce. It'll be Fremantle, 8-5-1 on the year in 5th place against the number 1 team, the Sydney Swans, 13-1. They're rolling like a machine right now. They had a guy score 9 goals last week, which is absolutely absurd. It was just, and they were losing in the game, and they just all of a sudden they flip a switch and bang, they just crushed. I don't even remember who they might have been the Crows. Might have been. I think it might have been the Crows, but an absolute ass beating. Road teams won the last 4 in this one, but I don't think that happens here as Fremantle travels to Sydney. Sydney is just too good. I'm not going to lay the 27.5 because Freo has been scrappy and okay, and they'll be pumped for this game. But I'm going to go over the 172.5 in Sydney and Freo. Collingwood and Gold Coast, 2:35 a.m. Friday night or Saturday morning, however you want to look at it. Collingwood minus 2.5 on the road at Gold Coast. 165.5 the total. Collingwood playing pretty decent. They were one of the teams that started poorly, but they won the league last year. They're in 4th place right now. Gold Coast just can never get anything going. They're so poor offensively. I just don't think they'll have enough firepower to hang with Collingwood here. We'll go Collingwood minus the 2.5. And I tell you, I didn't think about this afternoon when I was looking through these, but I like this game under a tad as well. As the more I think about it, Gold Coast really struggles to score, and Collingwood probably a little bit more dependent on their defense currently with some of the injuries that they have. GWS in Adelaide, 5:30 a.m. early Saturday bounce here. Adelaide's won 1 of their last 6. They've been awful. They're 4-9-1, buried in 15th position. They're pretty much out of finals football right now. I just don't see how they could get hot enough. GWS clinging to life. They're in 6th place. They're 8-6, but they just haven't looked very impressive. Their scoring hasn't been what it was last year. This was a team you could count on for overs last year, not so much this year. We'll be going under the 160.5, GWS and Adelaide. Essendon and Geelong, 5:30 a.m. bounce on Saturday morning. Geelong is an absolute disaster zone right now. I am not high on Essendon at all. They haven't beat anybody good. They're 9-4-1, have beat up on all the bad teams. They lay 1.5 at Geelong. Geelong, I cannot recommend them. They're a veteran-laden team. They have great players, but they're injured and they're just disinterested. Tom Hawkins is out now 6 to 8 weeks. He may never play again. I think this is probably the end of him. So they've lost 4 out of 5. They're 8-6. They started off the season, I think, 5 or 6-0, and just absolutely fell apart. Essendon, as I said, 9-4-1. If the Cats want to make it to the finals, they're going to have to pick it up a little bit. I want to say they can win this game, but I just don't know. It won't surprise me if they somehow turn it around, but they got Dangerfield, I think, was facing a suspension. I mean, they have a lot of issues right now. That's their captain is out. Their top player of all time, Hawkins, is out. It's really Jeremy Cameron can't carry the team himself, so I don't know. I'm going to go under the 168.5 here, Essendon and Geelong on Saturday morning. Saturday evening, 11:10 p.m. First bounce, Port Adelaide and St. Kilda. Port Adelaide's lost 3 out of 5. They're 8-6. They were my pick to win it the regular season. That is not happening. St. Kilda, 5-9, 14th position. They're laying 2.5 at home against Port. I have to take Port on principle here. Port's coach absolutely ripped their asses last week about how they're as good as these other teams, which I agree with. They have a lot of good talent, but they have been really, really bad, unfocused, losing to teams they have no business losing to. Just disgraceful performances out of Port Adelaide. And I'm going to take a chance that this guy can push the right buttons here, because I would say if this manager can't figure this out and they don't have a bounce here and win this game against a very, very average at best St. Kilda team who can't score, I think the guy's got to go. He's going to get fired. So Port Adelaide, either they're going to play for their coach or they're going to lose again and probably getting fired. So we'll go with Port plus the 2.5 at St. Kilda on Saturday night. Saturday night also 1:20 a.m. or Sunday morning. Carrollton, that is, at Richmond. I say Carrollton, from up the river in Ohio there, or down the river, whatever, over in Ohio. Carlton Blues against the Richmond Tigers. It would be Carlton minus 39.5, total 170.5. Carlton second place, 10-4. Not overly impressed with them, but I hear a lot of really good players really good analysts talk about Carlton being the only danger to the Swans. I'm not sure I buy into that yet, but they are 10-4. Richmond comes in 2-12. But I'll tell you one thing that I've been impressed with about Richmond. They're really, really bad. They don't have any offensive talent at all. But, man, they muck it up a lot in the midfield, and they slow the game down, and they play in a way where they are able to hang into games. So I cannot recommend laying 39.5 against this team. The Richmond's like a team where they're losing the entire game. The other team's up 2 or 3 scores the whole time, but Richmond never gets dead and buried. Like, they never bury themselves. They're not ever good enough to win those matches, but they're good enough to cover. So I'm not going to recommend a play on Richmond, though, because they're not good enough. So we're going to go with the under in this game. I think Richmond mucks this up enough at home to where they can slow this down and keep it under the 170.5 against Carlton. And then the final game, Hawthorn and West Coast. Wow, what a finale. 2:40 a.m. on Sunday morning. It'll be Hawthorn minus 13.5, total 163.5. Got to tip my cap to Hawthorn. They're a team I did not have any respect for. They got a little better at the end of last year. They're in 13th position right now, but they're 7-7. They've beaten the teams that they can beat. So they've had a couple upsets as well. So they've won 5 out of 6. They're playing hot. 13.5 is not enough. I think they'll hammer West Coast. West Coast, the team that I think is probably still the worst team in the league, despite the record of North Melbourne. So we'll go with Hawthorn minus the points. So let's recap those here for you. Western and North over 182.5. Fremantle and Sydney over 172. Collingwood and Gold Coast will take the Magpies minus the 2.5. GWS and Adelaide under 160.5. Essendon and Geelong under 168.5. Port Adelaide plus 2.5 on the road at St. Kilda. Carlton and Richmond under 170.5 on Sunday morning. And then Hawthorn minus the 13.5 on Sunday morning. That is it for AFL round number 16. Hard to believe we're there already. A couple bad beats to highlight. Croatia, if you saw that, if you had them to advance, which we gave that out as a play, really, really, a veteran-heavy team, a team with a lot of experience, great runs in the last 2 major soccer tournaments. Just couldn't get it going this time. I thought Luka Modric rescued them. He scored a great goal off of a missed penalty, a save penalty, I guess. Oh, my. And I think Turkey just finished off Czechia in extra time. Or stoppage time, not extra time. Yes, they did. So that's going to be the end of Czechia, who is on the brink of elimination anyway. So, oh boy. Okay, so we'll recap that at some point. But anyway, back to Croatia. Tough beat. If you had them, 2 straight games, they literally are hanging on for dear life, trying to get wins, and boom, twice give up a goal on the literal last kick of the game. just a horrible, horrible way to go if you're a Croatian fan. If you're Nika Mule, the girl from Seattle Storm who went to UConn, who's Croatian, feel sorry for all of them. It's horrible. I've become a fan of Croatia. They're a great team. They just have a lot of likable guys. Tough one there. So they are eliminated. And then Canadian hockey fans, sorry for you, but the Edmonton Oilers go down in Game 7, and that makes the record of teams that were up 3-0 in the best of 7 in the NHL, 207-4. So continues on as the Panthers hold them off there 2-1 the other night, and that was a sweat for me. I had a lot of futures on the Panthers, a lot of multiple cross-sport parlay futures with them, and that came through, and I was pretty tight, but they got the job done. Thought McDavid was invisible the last 2 games. I think we can put the bed to talk about him being even in a top 5 all-time great yet. He's not there yet. He's got to win this, or he's got to make more of an impact. If he would have lost the game and had a few points and did everything he could to take it over, but he was invisible the last 2 games. You just never see Mario Lemieux or Ovechkin or Yager or even Wayne Gretzky, who I'm not necessarily ever a fan of. I think he was a boring player, stat producer with awesome players around him, but none of those guys would vanish in a Game 7 like that, or Game 6, to be honest with you. He had 2 shots in 2 games, and again, I'm not slandering the guy. He's still incredibly talented, but I gotta see more. Got to see you rising up. Some industry news and notes. WNBA. Wow, boy, this is on the rise here. Soaring numbers after another great weekend. Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese faced off. Caitlin Clark, his team couldn't quite get the job done. They lost the game, but they covered the spread. If you had them plus the 2.5 or 2, you got the win there. Some bad free throw shooting down the stretch from Chicago. And Sunday was the most watched WNBA game in 23 years. That surpassed another game earlier this year when those two played. So Caitlin Clark is just tearing it up right now. Tons of credit to her, and the WNBA is doing everything they can do to mess this up. They're making this about like Angel Reese, like people were coming to see her. It's simply not true. And I like Angel Reese. I got nothing against her. I know a lot of people don't. Most of my friends all hate her, and they're yelling at me on Sunday about it. Like, I respect her. Like, I think she's a good villain. I don't think she's as big of a bitch as she appears to be. But anyway, she's doing a good job for her brand. She's playing really well right now. Clark's got to be more selfish, if you ask me, and quit depending on these bad teammates of hers, and she's got to get a better coach. But things are improving for the Fever, and the WNBA product when she's out there is a pretty good product right now. So let's hope that keeps going, and they'll continue to beat out the NBA, if you can believe that. NHL and WNBA right now on the rise, knocking off the NFL and NBA and stuff. So putting up some really good shares in the TV ratings over the last few weeks, so good to see. Canadian authorities investigating more and into the Jonte Porter situation, along with 4 other guys. He was the guy that was faking injuries to get his props to go under, which is just crazy. And then this is a sick one here. Bettors are sending Max Homa Venmo requests saying, give me your money, you cost me money. Like, what is wrong with you? If they find out who these people are, they got to be banned from betting in every jurisdiction and probably face some sort of penalties. You can't harass these athletes. Like, I get it. These guys have great lives, no question about it. But you got to draw the line. You cannot come into their personal things and torment them. It's not right, and it doesn't do anything to help our game of sports wagering. So mind your manners. Be behaved. Be civilized. Be a decent human being. You can't just beat on these people. They're humans, and the cards could continue. There's another red. This is amazing. This referee in this game absolutely lost control of himself. Red cards after the game, yellow cards after the game. This guy this is unfucking believable. He's holding both cards up, going back and forth to like every guy on the field. This is amazing. I've never seen anything like this before. I mean, this wouldn't even happen in the bottom leagues of Africa right now, where there's a lot of sketchy issues, where one couple years ago, the goalie scored in his own net to put a game over. And they found out he had a $1,700 bet on it or something. My goodness. And then here we go. More betting scandals as they continue. MLB umpire Pat Hoberg punished for gambling violations. But the MLB says they did not find any evidence that games called by Hoberg were manipulated. We got to get more information out here. The MLB right now is They are hiding scandals. They have Ohtani. Now they got an umpire situation here. I mean, this needs to be discussed. The details need to come out. The federal government needs to get involved in this and not brush it under the rug. Hopefully, if we get President Trump back there, he'll start to release some of this stuff because he doesn't seem to give a shit about offending people, which is good. So let's find out what this guy did. So did he go to a casino with his wife and play craps? I think these umpires are allowed to bet on anything that's not baseball. They can't bet on any kind of baseball, whether from any league, anywhere in the world, no matter what level. But so if that's the rule, what did he do to get in trouble? Because if he's betting on football, he should be good. If he's betting on hockey, he should be good. What did he do? So this doesn't make sense to me at all. And I'm not saying that the guy was fixing games. Apparently, according to the umpire technology, which should be doing all the umpiring, this guy's the best umpire in MLB. But he's been out of action since last year in the playoffs, and people thought he was hurt. But apparently he was suspended for betting of some kind. So we got to find more out about this. This is intriguing stuff. If you want to talk more about it, give us a call on the Watchdog hotline, 304-214-1600 on Friday and discuss, because we're going to talk about this on the show. Just want to get the other guys' opinions, and it's just something. MLB's got a lot of clouds over themselves. They're not doing themselves very good. They're about as transparent as the Obama administration right now. Jokes. But anyway, Georgia opens as a minus 5-point favorite here against Alabama. College football games of the year. You start seeing those popping up right now. I thought that was interesting already. Nick Saban factor perhaps there. And then week 1 NFL action. Listen to these lopsided money counts here. 98% of the money on the Chargers, -3 over the Raiders. 94% of the money on the game. Seattle over the Broncos, -4.5, which I'm on board with that one. I'd take the Raiders plus the 3 there, even though Harbaugh, it's his first game. 92% of the money is on the Giants, -1. Are you kidding me? The Giants? No, not against the Vikings. So I'd take the Vikings there, absolutely. 91% of the money on the Lions, -3.5 against the Rams. I'd lean Rams there a little bit. Rams... Not bad. I think the Rams could have a good bounce back this year. And NFL early liabilities for the books around, not necessarily in our jurisdiction, but across the country, the bigger ones. Texans, a lot of liability on them to win the Super Bowl, and a lot of liability on Bo Nix to be Offensive Rookie of the Year. We'll see how that turns out. I think Denver's going to be terrible. Never been a Sean Payton fan. You know that. I think he's overrated. I think Drew Brees helped him along, but not anywhere near ready to put any wagers on the Denver Broncos. And then this story, this was a late add-on right here. If you haven't seen this yet, I don't know how you haven't. It's almost as popular as Huck to a Girl. But if you haven't checked that one out, do you want to do that too? But Texas A&M baseball coach, they lose in the College World Series finals, lost 2 of 3 to Tennessee after winning game 1. Their coach chastises a reporter who asks him about the vacancy at the Texas job after the game, and the guy goes crazy on this reporter. Not crazy, but he was rude to him and shot him down like he was nobody, and just, was very rude. And then literally hours later, after he walks out of that press conference and says that he changed his whole life to be the coach at Texas A&M, and he's going all in, and he's came here for a reason, he leaves to go to Texas. Now he already left from TCU to go to Texas A&M. This guy, and I didn't even write his name down. I can't remember it, but great baseball coach. You can't take it away from him. But what a fucking shitty guy. Like, just a absolute liar. And to me, I wouldn't even want to go to Texas now and play for this guy. How could you trust anything this guy says? He just blatantly just blows this off like it's nothing. Like, how dare you ask that question? Have a little bit of guts, man. Have a backbone. Stand up and say, well, I gave everything I had to Texas A&M, but I'm going to listen to the offer at Texas. Say something kind of honest. You don't have to tell them the terms of the agreement, but my God, like, just don't just sit there and shut somebody down who's trying to do their job, and then a few hours later you make them look very smart by taking the very job that they were asking you about. Just poor job. Just a bitch move by that guy, and I like Texas as a school, but I ain't gonna be rooting for him. So anyway, check that stuff out. You can find all that on Twitter, YouTube, whatever you want to do there. All right, we're gonna take a break here. Come back, talk to Sam about racing. We got NASCAR and F1 in action, but we got IndyCar to talk about as well from last week, and some things going on in the racing industry. And let me remind you right now, the show is brought to you by our friends at The Brownie House. These are custom homemade brownies. They're absolutely incredible. They're out of Morgantown, West Virginia. They will ship anywhere in the country. Get on their website, yesbrownies.com. It is absolutely wonderful. I'm not just saying that. These brownies are just exceptional. They're the best brownies that I've ever eaten in my life. And you can save 20% on your order by using the promo code Pine Room. Pine Room, all one word, and I believe you capitalize the P on that, and you'll get 20% off your order. They'll ship them right out to you. They got other things than just brownies, too. They got cookies and whoopie pies and all kinds of other good things. But I'm telling you, highly, highly recommend those if you're looking for some desserts for entertaining or whatever it is you want to do, or if you just want to sit in your room and eat and watch soccer and just eat brownies and stuff your face in your living room with 6 TVs. Whatever you want to do. I'm not going to judge. But anyway, get on over to the Brownie House. That's yesbrownies.com. Pine Room is the promo code, 20% off your order. We thank them for their partnership. You'll hear plenty more about them on the radio each week on the Watchdog Network when we are on Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. All right, we're going to take a break here. Show number 89, Bettor's Last Stand from the Pine Room Studios. We'll be back with Sam the Man to talk racing, the Pirates, and a little bit of anything else that he wants to talk about sports related. It'll be good to see him after a few weeks off. It is Bettor's Last Stand, Show 89. We'll be back in a moment.
Reminder, this show is for informational and entertainment purposes only. All wagering activities should only be conducted by those 21 years of age or older and within the confines of federal, state, and local law. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, contact 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537. All right, men, load the cannons and hold the line. You're listening to Bettor's Last Stand.
All right, welcome back in Bettor's Last Stand, show number 89. As we're back with Sam the Man after a few weeks off. Sam, how are we doing today? We got lots to talk about. Buccos baseball, of course, and lots of racing. What's going on, brother?
Man, life is good. Weather's a bit, bit sticky, bit muggy up there in PA, but
Sure.
we're getting through it. Life's good.
Yeah, it's probably not as bad as it was about a week ago.
Last week, Matt, was brutal.
When I got back in town on Friday and I went up to my parents and my mom was like, "This is the worst day ever." I was like, I can feel it. By the time I was like in Cumberland on the way home, Frostburg, I could feel it getting hot in the car, and I'm like, "Oh boy, I'm not looking forward to getting back to this." But
no, you didn't miss much.
Nevertheless, it hadn't been too bad out the last couple of days, so hopefully that continues on. All right, so let's recap a little racing. Let's start with the open wheels, and then we'll talk some baseball at the end. So F1's got something cooking here right now.
Yep.
The cars are getting more even, or the other cars are catching up, but still, we got to do something about the race. The guy who gets the lead off the first lap is just winning these races still. So we're going to work on that, but baby steps. So we had Mercedes contending last week. We had McLaren, who's been contending now for several weeks. Verstappen gets the job done. He wins again, back-to-back races. Obviously, he's still the top driver, but they're gaining on him, Sam. So this has got to be good for racing. What are your thoughts on this incredible turn of events?
I hate to say that I've turned a new leaf, but I've been saying to you, Matt, it's just boring. It's got no juice to it. There's nothing to watch. I tell you what, it's been a weird, quiet little I don't even know, emergence of McLaren. Like they seem to be the real deal. They seem to have taken the next step, getting their cars up in the top 3 every time. I mean, I love it. I can't believe that Max actually isn't winning every race this year, and there are other cars that they just give him a test. Just test him. Do something. Give me something to watch on a Sunday, please.
Yeah.
And it's happened, and it's been great.
Yeah, and Lando Norris was pissed at himself for blowing up the first lap because he knew how important that was, and he thinks, if he makes that move and gets the inside track and has the lead, then he has the clean air, and they're not catching him all day.
Yeah. I thought it was great. I really do think that Norris. I mean, Piastri too. He hasn't been as good, but Norris has definitely taken the next leap of what I wish George Russell would do all the time.
Yes, no, I agree.
It's like, and they've been talking about Lando for a while, and his team was, hit and miss, and now they really seem to have found a stride that they're all in it together.
Yeah, I think Piastri's going to end up being good. I think he's still learning a lot, so I think he'll gain. But like, because he can be very fast, but he makes mistakes that you can tell are a guy that's not, lacks a little experience. So I expect him to continue to tick up. George Russell, as you said, he's been disappointing to me. I just don't feel like he's emerged quite yet. And then Lewis Hamilton, maybe his best run in a long, long time.
Yeah, I can't lie. It was great to see Lewis Hamilton up there. I mean, he was driving like the old Lewis, like he was bad, like he was up there for the championship. I mean, I don't know how much longer that will last. They seem to just, I don't know. They've been struggling, but it was great to see Lewis.
It was
finally up there.
Mercedes making some strides to at least be able to hang in there and get near podium finishes, which is good for them. And you definitely like to see that there's 3 different cars on the podium. That's always a good sign. But let's talk about some guys that are on these teams that have been kind of dead weight. Sergio Perez, I think it's about done for him. And then I got to tell you, and I don't blame him at all, but like, what is Carlos Sainz? Where do you see him ending up?
I've seen anywhere from Williams to, taking over Sargent's seat to potentially, if Bottas is gone, he'll take his seat. But he's got to figure it out pretty quick because, like, these guys don't have a lot of time to waste. I mean, they'll flip a seat in a year.
He's been saying weird things like he's ready to make the announcement. Like, he must have something cooking. So, I mean, he keeps saying it. So I keep waiting for him to slip up and say, what's going on. But I don't know. Right now, Red Bull needs another driver. I tell you that. And then honestly, I don't know. I don't know how Mercedes progresses down the road with if George Russell will be their long-term guy. And then you mentioned Valtteri Bottas. And a lot of this I wouldn't even call his fault, but he's definitely lost interest as he knows his car sucks every week, and he doesn't even really make an attempt anymore. He's getting regularly out-finished by his teammate Zhou Guanyu like on a weekly basis now.
I know it's tough, and it's just like when you and your teammate and Logan Sargent are all at the bottom with 0 points.
Yeah.
Honestly, there should be a team with no drivers. That Kick Sauber team should just redo it. But obviously you can't. But I mean, they're garbage. They're totally garbage.
Yep, your boy Esteban Ocon with a top 10 this week. Pierre Gasly even up in there for once. Lance Stroll still is Lance Stroll, although he didn't finish in his normal 11th spot. He was down at 14th. What looks interesting to you as we go to Spielberg in Austria, Austrian Grand Prix? Obviously, Verstappen the guy to beat, but you're starting to get him at a little bit better price now these days since there's some contenders. He's only minus 190, which is stunning. If you did, 2-3 years ago, you say you get Verstappen at minus 190, people would be jumping out of buildings to bet that. So, well, what are your thoughts on this one?
I definitely think we're going to get, the typical Red Bull, Ferrari up in the front, but I think that the McLaren is going to be the next car and team that's up there. I don't see the Mercedes being up there. I don't think that Hamilton's going to run well again. I don't think Perez will do well. I really do think that there's the new team in the group is the McLaren. The Mercedes is gone, and I think that they're going to show their true colors. It's going to be the new top 3, as we'll say it, the Red Bull, Ferrari, and McLaren. And I think everybody else, Matt, like you know where they'll fall in line. You know that 4 through 10 position. Yeah, you know where they'll fall. There'll be a mixed match of the typical guys.
Yep, they'll be hanging right on the cusp there of like 6, 7, and if any of them get up into there, that's good for them.
Stroll around 10 or 12.
Right, yeah, that's automatic. He was 9th here last year, so shocker. Ferrari, you mentioned them. They didn't have a whole lot last week. I mean, they're always going to be okay, but Charles Leclerc finished 2nd here last year, led 10 laps. Verstappen led 61. Lando ran well. Sergio Perez is a guy. It's like I no more Red Bull double podiums for me anymore. You can't bet it because you got 2 McLarens now in between you, and at least one of the Mercedes seem to be at least in contention each week now, and then you got the Ferrari. So there's just no way to get Sergio Perez up into there. Right now, betting him to get in the top 6 is a little bit of a risk.
I know. I don't know what, like every last 2 years we'll say when Max was really on top of it, it was always Max and then Sergio.
Right.
Sergio's really nowhere to be seen.
No, with the same stuff.
Same stuff, and I think they re-signed him to a 2-year extension. So I don't know if they can find a way out of that one pretty quick.
I don't get that because he's obviously something's off. Like he's he's fucking up qualifying a lot of times, and like so that's not helping him any. But he's really, because yeah, you're right. Like there was times last year where he would have won the race by 10 seconds if Verstappen wasn't in there, because Verstappen was another 25 seconds ahead of him. But those days are over now. So you're right. McLaren is on the right track. Mercedes has found a little bit, and Ferrari's not going anywhere. They just got to get I don't know, something about their drivers just.
Matt, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, you just can't count on them. You just can't count on them. Just don't have that. I don't know. I'm getting more consistency out of the Mercedes group now than the Ferraris, but.
I know. As soon as the Ferrari's consistent, their engines explode or they have a shit run. You're never going to get consistency.
All right, so any bets stand out to you? Anybody you like? Top 10s, double top 6 for Mercedes maybe? Anything I can interest you in there?
You know what? You could probably interest me in the double top 6 with Mercedes, and I definitely think my guy Esteban, and I think he's such a sawed-off prick, but I just think he's so much better than Pierre Gasly, and that team's, they're not great or anything, but it's just tough. You know, I'm a big Albon guy. I like him for Williams, but he just, every time I pick him in the top 10, he's down in that 12 to 15 range, the bottom dweller range.
He can't make any headway. And Logan Sargent, he's just out there on a Sunday drive. I mean, you might as well let Meade go out there to take some laps. Like, he's out of contention as soon as the green flag goes.
Dude, he's been out of contention since he signed. I can't believe that they throw him out there. Like, they let Nick DeVries do half a season, and they kicked his ass out. But Williams won't kick out Logan Sargent. I don't understand.
Yeah, he's like, he has odds that are unspeakable, like, to win these races. They're like not odds. Like normally now in bookmaking times, ever since the Leicester City won that huge price in English Premier League, we don't usually put up numbers like this because you just never know. But in this case, like, literally, there's a better chance that aliens come to the track in Austria than he would be able to run in the top 3.
Oh yeah, 100%. You're right, 100%.
Well, nonetheless, let's hope for another action-packed Grand Prix this weekend, 9 a.m., Austrian Grand Prix. Looking forward to it. It's nice to have, even when you play like DFS and you're doing something on DraftKings, you actually have more options in contention now because it's not just dominated by Red Bull and Ferrari. So it's good. It's giving you a lot of opportunities as a bettor and as a daily fantasy player. So look forward to it. Should be a good one. All in all, though, Sam, do you think Max takes the checkered flag?
I do.
Yeah.
I really do, but I don't think it's going to be easy.
Right. I agree with that.
I do not.
Similar to last week, I would say, but
yes.
maybe just with hopefully a little bit closer pursuit and not just him running away and everybody else racing for second. But we shall see. IndyCar off this week, and last week's race at Laguna Seca it was pretty decent. I like that track. Alex Palou gets the job done. Colton Herta runs well. Alexander Rossi runs pretty well. Roman Grosjean even with a nice run. How about that? And Kyle Kirkwood, your boy, in rounding out the top 5. Observations from Laguna Seca. I did like it, only it was worried because I didn't get to see as much of it because the NASCAR was in a delay and it kind of messed everything up.
God, Matt. That was the one thing I had to search the internet, try to find a little legal stream. I ain't getting Peacock just for IndyCar. No offense, Peacock or IndyCar. Right. I love you guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was pissed with that rain, Matt. I can't believe that they don't.
Just as you say, it was a perfect racing day. It goes right back to back, and then here comes the rains.
Why do they not go to the live race?
I don't understand.
I don't need to see you guys talk for hours and hours and hours because that's just what the contract says. Like, put the race on. And then
they should have put it. They could have even put NASCAR in a small box, like here and there. I still don't understand why they do that or why they negotiate that in. It should be about the viewership, shouldn't it? Like, you're having people tuning in for your product. You got to get it to them.
Yeah, you have to get it to them. But I thought, like the Laguna Seca, I thought the race was great. I really do. I like that track. But I love just the different finishers every week in the top 10 in IndyCar.
Yeah. Wide variety.
It's a wide variety. You really never know. Like a Santino Ferrucci being up there. I love that. I don't know. IndyCar is great.
And Stingray Robb.
They market terribly. Oh,
yes.
Stingray
got into top 20. How about that?
I know. Stingray's just keeping his job alive. But I love the talent of IndyCar. Their marketing's terrible, but the talent is what I love.
Yeah, no, it is. And it really does kind of get a back seat. It's like I don't know if just the way that they schedule them. I honestly, they should try, and like at this time of the year, they should try a couple of their tracks, because a lot of the tracks they go to have lights. They should try a couple Saturday night races, I think. I think it would be a good idea. Or even on a Friday, even. So there's not a lot on. I feel like when you're just going up against baseball, I feel like they could win a little bit of a market share, because sometimes on Sunday you have that fringe time where you're in F1, and then maybe you got people watching golf, or there's when the NBA playoffs are going on or NHL playoffs, you have that in there on a Sunday afternoons, and then it kind of gets lost, and then by the time NASCAR gets there, it's like sometimes you get forgotten about it. It sucks, but they could try to find a little bit more of a standalone spot, like when the Pac-12, before they disbanded, started moving games to Friday, which was good because people watched them.
Dude, I think that you're totally spot on. I think either a different time or a different day is huge, because there's no baseball, there's no football.
Right.
You have this small little window to gain as many viewers as you can, because baseball, if you don't love it, it is boring. You will not watch it.
And it's a sport that you can have. Either you have a second TV and you're watching the Buckyo game over here, and you're watching the rain, or you're going back and forth, because you can at least check in on baseball, watch a little bit when there's a caution or whatever in the race. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like they should probably get a little bit more creative than just sticking in that late Sunday, mid Sunday afternoon slot that people get forgotten about sometimes. But what do we know, Sam?
Dude, Matt, we know it all. I'll tell you this. If it was a Friday night and the Mets and Phillies were playing on ESPN, or there was an IndyCar race, I would tune into the IndyCar race.
You better believe it. Yeah.
Because I'm getting action every second, and it'd be I think people would be shocked when they watch it. They'd say, "Wow, this is actually really, really cool, and it's competitive. The cars are cool. The noises are cool."
Yes. And
Like,
nobody ever watches it except for the Indy 500, which is sad. It's really
sad.
A crime. All right, let's go over to our stock car boys as we head to Nashville. We've only been to this speedway 3 times. Should make for some interesting racing. I found this kind of intriguing. I didn't really remember this at the time, but it makes sense now. Chevy 3-0 at this track. They've won all 3 times. As we had Ross Chastain and then a pair of Hendrick guys winning, Larson and Elliott, taking their cars to victory lane in the last 3 years here at Nashville. Chastain won it last year. First, before we get to Nashville, let's talk about the New Hampshire race. Now, I got to say, for whatever reason, New Hampshire has always been a track that I kind of have liked, and it kind of always used to get forgotten about back in the olden times in NASCAR. It would get buried on some shit network channel you couldn't find, and it was no one ever cared about it. But those New England fans come out. They don't get to see the racing very often. They come out. I thought the race was decent. I think the last few weeks in NASCAR have been pretty good. A lot of action, a lot of strategies, a lot of strange occurrences coming. I mean, you have guys that you think are going to win the race that end up not even finishing well. I mean, this race had a little bit of everything, including a stupid rain delay, which did suck.
It did, and that is the one thing that bothered me about the race. I thought it all was pretty damn good, but when they had the rain coming down and they just go around the track, they waste all these laps with they don't have the tires or anything. I cannot stand that. There should be some sort of rule where it's like everybody go put the correct tires on. We're not going to waste these laps and then get into overtime.
Yeah, no,
I don't know.
They did a bad job with that.
7 laps. Because I remember I saw they had 7 laps, and they wasted all of them, and they went into overtime.
And we could have got more racing that way.
Right, you could have had 7 laps as opposed to 5, or whatever the overtime is. That's something I don't understand. I don't know if it's the safety thing, if it's a TV thing. I don't know.
I mean, I like that they were going to use the rain tires, which is finally, they get a chance to use them on a speedway like that, a 1 miler. But yeah, they didn't mess that up. They've got to do something where, in the overtime situation, when you're down to 10 laps in the race, they've got to either not clock those laps. And I get it. It may be an issue for fuel mileage, but if you make that known up front, then those teams can account for that. Where if you're going to 10 laps, the caution laps don't count. It's you have to adjust accordingly. You have to get the extra gas that you need to make it 10 extra laps or however many you're going to need. So I agree with you. I think it's stupid. I hated that part. At different times of this race, though, I thought early on, it looks like Chris Bell was going to be the guy. Then it was Elliott for a little bit. Then I thought that maybe Denny Hamlin. I kept thinking Truex was starting to carve his way up through there. And it was just, this race could have produced, in my opinion, like 7 or 8 different winners if different little things fall in different ways, whether the rain comes at a different time or all these little things that could have changed in this race. I really think you could have had a lot of different winners, which is always a good thing. I'm not certain that the top 10 was the 10 best cars, but whatever. I mean, Kyle Larson openly bitches about this track all the time, and he finished 4th, so he's got to be happy.
Yeah, I mean, you see some odd names in there. Stenhouse, Nemechek. The Nemechek one, that'll really throw you off. When a Legacy's in the top 10, you got to make sure you do your double check.
Right.
But, yeah, I mean, Christopher Bell, we talked about him, Matt. He's always quiet. He was not doing great. And then what do you know? There he is.
Yep.
Pokes his head out, and once again, he's like, hey, remember me? I'm Chris Bell.
Yeah, and he is a pretty good closer, I will say, at the end of races. He puts people away. So it was definitely a good drive by him. Chase Briscoe in the news this week as well, a second-place finish.
Yeah.
And he gets the new ride. So pretty exciting for him, I'm sure.
I actually think that this – I know I texted you, like, you wouldn't want to go to any other team with JGR, but, like,
right.
This is like a dream scenario. I think he's very talented. He's had a pretty solid year, but I think this is the next step of – this is the difference between a JGR and a Stewart-Haas and why they're getting out.
Right. And, folks, if you're not aware, it's Chase Briscoe will be taking over the 19 car, vacated by Martin Truex, who is retiring at the end of the year. So a big upgrade for him. In the Stewart-Haas charter, their team is going bye-bye. They're selling it off, and it's going to be a little bit of a different look here, across the landscape of NASCAR. But nonetheless, another one of these super teams gets another good driver on board. So we'll see. You don't have any excuses now. Briscoe kind of could run under the cloud of like, well, we're not quite as good as these big teams. But now he can't do that. Next year's put up or shut up time for him. And let's talk about another guy right now who just I do not know. I don't know if you could put him in any other car. And you got to say JGR may have got it right when they let him go. Is Kyle Busch. What in the hell is wrong with this dude?
I have no idea. And, he's ran okay at the, like last week he was.
Yeah.
He's in the past he had done all right. Yeah. I don't know if it's just something in his head, if he just wants to be on a different team. I don't know if you've heard him say when he was like, oh, I could sign, XYZ, but I'm with Richard Childress right now. It's like, man. Yeah. I think Joe Gibbs, you're right, Matt. You said it. Joe Gibbs has prevailed out of all of this as being the smartest person.
Yeah.
He knew.
He knew. He knew it was time. And Truex is probably doing him a favor because Truex is kind of getting towards the end where he's getting a little disinterested. He won his championship. He's accomplished everything he needs to accomplish. He's still a good driver. But, yeah, so he's getting fortunate on that move. But, my goodness, these Richard Childress cars, Austin Dillon is just a no-show week after week. Kyle Busch, as we said, just erratic. And it's weird. It's like – it's when he's actually running laps, he's okay. But he always has something. I'll look up and his car's facing the wrong direction, or he's always got something wrong. His wheel comes loose, or it's just almost like he is snake bitten. It's just like he knows it, and he's just not going to explode. He's just going to wait for the year to end, and then maybe they'll buy him out and let him go or something.
Yeah, but you're right. Like every time they go to how they do they listen to the team radio. Yeah. It'll be Kyle Busch being like, "Dude, my fucking wheel won't turn." Yeah. But he'll be in 6th place. It's
he was running all right.
They jinx him every time he talks, and we get an insight into his brain. It's like, oh, he's pissed. There's no way.
Yeah, 2 guys that I was really impressed with, and we've talked about them before on the show, and I continue to be more and more and more impressed with them, are Josh Berry and Todd Gilliland. Todd Gilliland, who is not on a very noteworthy team, is just this guy's impressing me week after week. I mean, he's driving cars that aren't near as good as Austin Dillon and these other guys, Joey Logano, and he's out finishing these guys week after week. And then you got Josh Berry, who could become a rising star. Harvick was always great at New Hampshire, so you figured the team was going to have a good setup. Thoughts on Berry and Gilliland so far this year?
I think Gilliland is great. I think he's been solid all year. You've seen the 38 up in the top 10 a couple times. I do believe that like he needs to get to a different team though. This is like my hey.
It's a great audition though. He's doing great.
Great audition. I think it was awesome. But Josh Berry is the one that sticks out because I've heard in the past that Josh Berry is just a very good and talented driver, and he's had some very good runs this year. But he's a free agent. You know what I mean? That's the thing that is odd to me. That man, this guy's a free agent, and the seat that you would have wanted is filled.
Right.
So now where do you go? Because it strikes me as a step down, team wise.
Yeah. So who scoops him up? Who's going to scoop him up? I wonder.
I don't know because I've heard that Gene Haas is keeping one charter and he's doing like the Haas factory team. So
right.
I don't know if you keep Priest because you've had him for that long, but I'd take a gamble, man. I really would. I'd say, listen, Josh Berry, you're going to be my number one driver.
I agree. I think the guy's really good. I think he's got a shot, and Gilliland as well. So it'll be interesting to see how those guys do. And I don't know, maybe RFK or somebody will add a third car. They probably should because they're actually their guys are running pretty well. All right, let's get back to Nashville now. Let's talk about what we like here. Obviously, we talked about Ross Chastain briefly as being the defending champion of this race. Last year's race went Chastain, Truex, Hamlin, Elliott, Larson. Elliott and Larson also have won here in the last 3 years span since we started coming to Nashville. Some of these prices were a little bit too low for me. Kyle Larson at like less than 4-1. I just can't take that. I know he's going to be very strong. Denny Hamlin has had a couple of back-to-back bad finishes. I thought he was interesting around 5, but the price just too low for me to pull the trigger, Sam, on this. You got Elliott and Chastain both in the 7 to 8-1 range. I can start to get behind one of those guys, but I have a different guy that I'm going to go with as my top pick this week. And I went back and forth on this, but I ended up going with him. He ran pretty well last week, and I think he's shown that he has a decent car at this track from time to time, but had some bad luck, and that is Tyler Reddick. He would be my choice this week. How about you? What are some of the guys that you're liking?
Matt, I was debating between two guys, Mr. Tyler Reddick and Brad Keselowski.
Okay, Brad,
what it is about Brad. Brad just he kept sticking out to me every time I kept going over this. I picked Brad.
Okay. I like it.
For some reason, the last couple of weeks I went with Reddick. He didn't do it too hot for me, but man, I think that RFK and Brad, I think that they're settled in.
They're locking in. Yep.
They're locking in. It's time.
They're contenders now every week.
Every week they're contenders, and they did this last year, but I think they did it at the wrong time because they faded towards the end. I think now is when they're ramping it up, headed into the back half of the season, towards the playoffs.
Yep. No, I agree with you. And I think it's a great pick. And at 24-1, absolute tremendous price. This is a former multi-year Cup champion. This guy's won a ton of races. And now he's got this team going. His teammate Buscher's running very well. These guys are contenders every single week. Like, they're no longer just like, okay, they're just going to show up at the super speedways. Like, they're there all the time. I think it's a great pick. Couple other guys I want to get your thoughts on. Joey Logano continues to just disappoint me. He's around 18-1 there. If you have to ask me who I'd rather have right now, look, Keselowski at 24-1 or Logano at 17, I'm damn well taking Keselowski. And then Daniel Suarez, who still he has bad luck too. He's run really well here. You had him last week. He actually had a pretty good car, but again, an issue. 62-1. I mean, that's not impossible. I like the price for him. I thought he was a good dark horse. And then this guy is going to win at some point, and I think that he could possibly, be a contender here. He's ran well here 2 times already, and that is Ty Gibbs. He's knocking on the door. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And there's a number that stuck out to me. It was Kyle Busch's number that if he wasn't having the type of season he was having, I would have jumped on that so fast. His number's incredible. Yeah,
well, you look at certain points of this season, you have this is unthinkable 2 years ago, even last year. Joey Logano into the 30-1 range, Keselowski, who had been last year was up in the 60s at some point, and then Kyle Busch cracking up over 30 and 35 and 40-1. That's unthinkable stuff, and that shows you how low the power ratings are on him right now, and even Logano as they continue to just have issue after issue.
Yeah, and it's like I think the Gibbs call is so good. He's on the team that was the former Busch shooter, so he's younger. I think he's better. And another thing that stuck out to me is the Alex Bowman number.
Yeah.
He had a good little streak going, and now he's just kind of radio silent. The thing that bothers us most about him, just
It's amazing.
The Hendrick black sheep, I guess.
It is so amazing how he just you thinking like, oh, Bowman's got momentum, and then poof, dead last week, engine failure.
Dead last.
God, and it seems like a guy like him. He seems, and I don't know enough about him personally, but he seems like a guy who could be who really needs that positive reinforcement and the good finishes that keep his momentum going. When he has a bad one, it's like, whew, down he goes.
Yeah, this week I would not even looking at him.
Right. Fade him in matchups, people. Go against him if you can. Any dark horse? I actually thought William Byron at around 8-9 to 1 is a pretty fair value too. He's been knocking on the door. 2 races ago, he almost tracked Blaney down. I could see him maybe being a contender. Hendrick won twice here already. Chevy's been really good. I thought he was a pretty decent value at around 9 to 1 if you could find him. And then Josh Berry around 50. I never know, right?
You never know. I mean, honestly, the couple ones I love Suarez.
Okay.
And I do not know why this guy keeps sticking out to me, but Austin Cindric.
Yeah.
You know, I just think if you stay alive, you avoid a couple crashes. Cindric's gonna be up there. 'Cause I think 2 years ago he was up in the top 10.
Yeah, and he's had a couple of sneaky nice runs here recently too. So so he's a great road racer. We know that. So not that applies here, but I don't want to sell on him yet. Like I'm about like this time next year I'll know if it's either got to be there to stay or somebody's taking his seat. But no, I'll give Cindric a chance. I think he was very versatile in the Xfinity series, so I feel like he could still be that here. But he seems like a guy that's like a bookworm as far as studying the tracks and stuff. So hopefully at some point that'll pay off. Obviously with a dad in the industry, that probably is the case. So all right, so you're going with Brad K. I'm going with Reddick. You like Suarez. Any other guys? Suarez and Cindric. Anybody else stick out to you as a potential top 10? How about Ross Chastain, defending champion?
I think him in the top 10. Give me Eric Jones in the top 10.
Okay. He could use a good run, Eric Jones.
Oh, he could.
That guy's got a lot of bad luck.
Yeah, he does, man.
He got broken back, and whenever the guy's running well, it's like you go to one of his best tracks, he's got a broken back. It's like, come on. This poor guy. Yep, but it should be a good one. Looking forward to Nashville, 2:30 on Sunday afternoon. All right, so let's talk Bucko baseball. Let's just talk baseball in general right now. Pirates on the cusp. You talked to me about it. Jarrett talked to me. We talked about it on a radio show the other day. How big of a week this was. So far, pretty good start. 2 of 3 from the Reds.
Yeah, big start. So here's my thing. They play Atlanta next, which you have to. I know it's gonna sound crazy. You got to at least win one.
Yeah.
You have to win one. Atlanta is.
They're beatable now though.
They are beatable, but the Pirates they'll lose a series against the Rockies. So
sure.
You got to at least get one, but my big issue is, and I've texted you this, is there aren't a lot of sellers. A lot of buyers.
We thought 5 or 6 sellers, tops.
Yeah, at most. And so my issue is, Ben Cherington and, the owner are being like, oh, organically first.
Yeah.
We got some players that got to get better, and then we'll look at the trades. Well, how long are you going to wait for them to get better organically? Because by the time you're done, these trades are going to be made within the week.
Yeah.
And they're going to go to the typical Yankees, Padres, Phillies, Mets, whoever's got money.
Yeah. And you got to look. You got teams like the Royals, who their guys said that they got to make moves early because they don't want to have to compete with those teams, the big buyers, because they don't have what those teams have to give up. So the Pirates better beat somebody to the punch, because if not, they're going to get left behind. And like you said, there's only a few sellers, and some of these small market teams that are in there, they may need to move early to try to avoid that stuff down to the end where it gets into a bidding war, and the Yankees, the Dodgers, and the Phillies win out against everybody.
Yeah, and that's it. And it's we've got all these prospects we can give up. If they don't make a trade and then they don't make the playoffs, everybody's got to go. I mean, Shelton's had to go.
Yeah,
Shelton's
should be
had
gone.
to go. Nobody puts out a worse lineup than Derek Shelton.
Oh, Sundays was an embarrassment. Sunday's lineup, they scored 1 run.
I mean,
Skeens was going.
When you rest Nick Gonzalez because you want Jared Triolo to get back in the groove, for what? For what?
Yeah, I know.
It's just so illogical, and he's just an idiot. He's an idiot. He's a total idiot.
How about some of the guys that they're throwing around as potential guys they could bring to the team. Now, people said Josh Bell again. Jacob Stallings, I heard him, and then yesterday's big news, Tommy Pham near the top of the those guys aren't going to put them over the top or help them much.
No. They need Luis Roberts or
Exactly.
JJ Bleday or they need
Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
One of the biggest names possible. Do something. Like if they got Vlad Jr. and they had a losing record at the end of the season, I'd just be like, all right.
Yeah.
It wasn't going to be this is what it was going to be no matter what. So just show me that you're trying. And they keep saying, Matt, well, the owners in the past made big trades when we were in the playoffs. They reference Archer. They reference Morneau. They reference Bird. Dude, Justin Morneau was at the ass end of his career.
Honestly, Marlon Bird had the most impact of all those guys.
That's what I mean. Marlon Bird was the best player, and he was on steroids.
He's
a steroid guy.
And at the time, he was not considered like a superstar. He was a good quality outfielder on steroids. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like, you guys, what do you mean that they traded for Justin Morneau? He was 38.
Yeah. No, I don't buy that. If people believe that, then shame on the fans for believing that shit.
Oh, then Matt, they believe it. You should
I know.
On the radio.
I hear those writers. I was talking about it on our radio show. I've heard some interviews with some of these writers. I mean, my God, they must go to Nutting's house and have dinner like twice a week because the water they carry for that guy and the way they defend him in Sherrington and in Shelton is mind blowing to me. Those guys shouldn't even be allowed on the radio. Some of those shows and some of those writers for the Trib and the Post Gazette, they're clowns.
Yeah, nothing makes me more mad than the Ben Cherington show. Honestly, it's a shame they give that guy a platform to talk about the state of the Pirates.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not optimistic, Sam, but we'll see.
Man, I'm not either. I told Jared I'm not optimistic, and they won the last two. And I don't know why I get like this. I love the Pirates. Like I should be a positive fan. I'm a positive guy, but they've done so much.
You are, but they've sucked the life out of you your whole life, so it's hard
like
to.
That girl, I just can't get over.
Yeah, right. You just can't. You can't pick it up. You just can't pick up the pieces. It always just shatters on you more and more. It's terrible. I don't know. I got the same feelings about the Orioles. They gotta make some moves as well. They gotta get a couple more arms and some bullpen help because they're not able to. They're taking leads and then they're losing them right away. And they got injuries in the bullpen and guys with Tommy John and they're a mess too. So but I do like them better than the Yankees. I do feel pretty comfortable about that. But there's not very many good teams in MLB, Sam, right now.
No, there's not one team that sticks out. I mean, I think like the
Phillies
the Phillies are the best team.
Probably the most all-around set team. Like the Dodgers lack the starting pitching. Phillies, if they stay healthy, their bullpen's still a little iffy. But overall, I would say that they're probably the best all-around team right now. But who the hell knows? I mean, at this time last year, did we forecast that the Rangers and the Diamondbacks would be in the World Series? Probably not. I mean, we knew the Rangers were pretty good when they got healthy, and they got Scherzer back now, so maybe they start making a move. I don't know. Well, it's going to come down to see. There's not that many guys out there. Who's going to get a couple quality pieces? And you could see a team like Cleveland be, a really good playoff team that can make some noise. But I don't know.
I mean, I think Arizona only won 84 games last year.
Yep. They're third place, I think. Yeah. So
yep,
still a little bit early. I mean, there's teams that are, playing above themselves. I still don't know how Milwaukee keeps doing it, and the Red Sox have been hanging on with a not great lineup and just a lot of no names in the pitching staff. But but that's what makes it fun. So we're definitely going to have a hell of a pennant race, I would say, at this point. Just heading into the All-Star break here in a few weeks. This could be one of these legendary down the stretch where people are huddled around the TVs and bars in Pittsburgh.
I hope.
Seeing if they can make a move.
I hope.
Because
last time we were huddled around the TV, O'Neal Cruz's leg was broken.
Right, on Easter. Yeah, so maybe the last 20 games for the Pirates are going to be like playoff games every day.
Oh, I hope. Give me something to get fucking angry about. You know what I mean? Give me something.
Yeah. We shall see. All right, closing thoughts on the NBA Finals, which was not really exciting. And then how about the NHL Stanley Cup Finals? Obviously, it turned out to be a pretty intriguing series and really good Game 7.
NBA Finals, I thought they were boring as hell. Yeah. Luka was absolutely gassed. I mean, the Celtics were far superior.
Sure were. Your boy Mazzulla.
Big Joe got the ring. NHL, I thought I wanted McDavid to get the ring. But then, man, when Game 7, I didn't have a favorite, but it's like, man, Florida's going to win this. There's just McDavid cannot do it all. He cannot.
Yeah,
he can't score 5 goals, 4 assists. He can't.
And then, like in Game 6 and 7, he had 2 shots. So it's like, geez, where'd he go? But no, I mean, he's still got time. But still good series, interesting ending. I had a future tickets on Florida, so I was sweating those out. That was not a fun few days there when they were blowing it. I thought, but I did feel pretty decent. I said on the radio, like, my gut instincts tell me Florida will win this game tonight. It's just hard to beat a team that good 4 games in a row.
Oh, I know, and it's so odd that you get 7 games out of Leon Draisaitl and you don't get a goal. I mean,
where did he go? Isn't it
know.
amazing how they were like the offensive juggernaut? Not necessarily as much this year, but their power play is still amazing. But they got so much better defensively, and they were winning these games low scoring. Skinner played pretty good in goal. It was weird. So now we getting ready to go to free agency. Maybe Tristan Jarry will be out the door next week. We can hope for that, right?
In Ned, we trust.
Yes, got him back. Ned. It's got to be gone for Jarry. There's been a few goalies move already, too, so maybe there's a big market for goaltending. Let's hope. But let's hope Dubas can pull something off at the draft and as free agency starts on July the 1st. Anything else you want to hit on? I think we covered just about everything.
Man, the Pirates they're driving me up a wall, Matt. I can't wait. I cannot wait.
Well, you already got a win today, so you can rest easy tonight. So.
I know. I get to sleep good.
All right, Sam. We'll see you next week. Good to be back with you.
Yeah, man. Go Bucks.
All right, sounds good. That's Sam the Man out of Upper St. Clair checking in, as always, here on Bettor's Last Stand. That'll do it for us. Show number 89. We'll be back next week with show number 90. Check us out on the radio, watchdognetwork.com. And don't forget about the Brownie House. 20% off your order at the Brownie House. That's yesbrownies.com. Use the promo code PINEROOM. That's Pine Room with a capital P. All one word. Get on there today. Get your brownies. They are delightful. We will see you next week. Plenty to discuss. Hopefully have maybe some time for some Big 3 basketball, which I didn't get to this week. But with these soccer tournaments and stuff, we got a lot going on. We get the Olympics coming up in a few weeks. We got Wimbledon coming up. So there's plenty more out there to bet on, folks. If you have any questions, shoot us an email. Contact at thepineroompodcast.com. Check out our website. You can get a hold of us there as well. pineroomstudios.com. BLS_PRP. You can follow us on Twitter or X, whatever you prefer. And you will see all the picks from the show today and anything we like over the weekend from Sam and I and any of the other Pine Room contributors. That'll do it for us. Show number 89 in the books. We'll see you next week. Good luck on all your wagers.